60th anniversary of the Lavender Hill Mob, the great Ealing film. And to celebrate, Optimum are re-releasing the movie. And they've teamed up with Tally-Ho Cycle Tours to show people around iconic locations from the film. I've saddled up with Jack Harris from Tally-Ho Cycles and the film historian Richard Dacre. Let's go. Well, it started to rain, which is apt, Richard, because this is the spot where Alec Guinness falls into the river, is that
Indeed,
right?
yes. Lavender Hill Mob stars Alec Guinness as this meek and mild bank official. But meek and mild bank official has a plan to rob his employers of some of their gold bullion. And what happens is they actually have succeeded in a robbery. They drive the van just to that spot there. You can see a road going through, it's broken wharf. And there's in those days, there was a sort of a half-deserted warehouse there. They drive the van in there. And the idea is, because he's one of the inside gang, they want to, his two associates are meant to beat him up and leave him there so he won't be suspected of being part of the robbery. But they can't bring himself to do it. So they just leave him there, tied and gagged. And so he tries to make it like he's been beaten up himself. He's stumbling around and falls into the river.
Easily done.
It's easily done, yes. And it's wonderful because when you actually see that happening, there's shots coming across the river and you see this building here, which is the obviously the Tate Modern Gallery. And so at the time the film was being made, this wasn't the operating fire station. There's one right next to a power station. There's one right next to it, which is a coal-fired, polluting behemoth with multi-chimneys. And that's the one you can see across the river when you see Alec Guinness tumble into the river. And you can just see the scaffolding on the side of this one. They were still constructing it.
Inspector Talbot! Sir! What's going on over there?
So, Richard, we've pedalled up Queen Victoria Street and we're at the scene of a crime.
This is the scene of a crime. We're sitting on the very steps that Alfie Bass, playing Shorty, sits waiting for the van to hold up. Alec Guinness is in the back of the van. He's guarding it in a sense. He tells the driver that he suspects somebody's following him. The driver stops, the guard gets out, but Alec Guinness has been doing this for a long time, so he doesn't take it seriously. He goes off and has a smoke. Sid James on a bike just over there in Lavender Hill cycles past, tells the driver he's got a flat tyre. Driver gets out to check it. Alfie Bass walks in and drives off with the van, and that's how the robbery takes place.
Help! Help!
So, Richard, we're just walking along from those steps, and I don't remember this bit in the film, actually.
Well, of course, this whole area was flattened during the war, and there was nothing here. If you remember in the film, Stanley Holloway is standing in front of where the robbery takes place. And he's standing next to a church tower, which is just here. It was St Mildred's Church, which was pretty well demolished at the beginning of the war. The tower just left standing. That was unsafe. So, in fact, they demolished that after the war was over. One of only 3 Wren churches to actually be completely lost to us due to enemy action in the Second World War, which is a shame because it had a reputation of being the best preserved of all of Wren's churches. Original woodwork, original pews, but now no longer with us. After the Great Fire of London 1666, Christopher Wren was given the job of rebuilding all the churches in the City of London. He did 51 of them, including St Paul's. We've talked about 3 of them today, and of course this one here is St Mary le Bow, famous for its Bow bells. To be a true Cockney, you have to be born within the sound of Bow bells. And this church appears 3 times, at least in the film. Once you see it in the background when Pendlebury, Stanley Holloway character, is stealing the painting unobtrusively in front of us. This is also where, after they go from the open air exhibition, the police exhibition, they make their quick getaway because they discover that one of these Eiffel Towers, it's actually a real gold one. They have to make it a quick getaway in a police car. And a police officer hitches a lift on their getaway gown. And this is where he gets off. Very nice shot of that building there with nothing behind it, completely gutted, just that wall. And then when Alec Guinness makes his getaway right at the end, he runs past this church.
Run, Dutch! Run! Stop! All right, stop him!
So, Richard, this is where the film kicks off. We're at the Royal Exchange.
We're at the Royal Exchange. The opening credits go across those pillars. And this, of course, is the bank, heart of the financial district of London. And this is where Alec Guinness works. I always love the fact that the writer of the film, Tibby Clark, wanted the actual robbery to be very realistic. And so he just walked into the Bank of England and he filled out this form, what's your nature of business? He said, means of stealing gold bullion. And not surprisingly, he was kept waiting for some time. Finally ushered into this office, large office, official behind the desk, who was rather relieved to find out he only wanted to know about it for a film. He then summoned the head of the bullion department, who came in and said, there's no way you could steal gold bars from the Bank of England itself. The only time it's vulnerable is in transit between the refinery and the vaults. They called in the transport manager, and Tibby Clark couldn't believe it. He just sat back, took notes while they discussed how you could rob the Bank of England. And what you see in the film is basically the one planned by the Bank of England officials.
We're at Bank Station. It's a rush hour. It's quite a busy station, this one. But
this is a wonderful area. I mean, behind us we've got the Mansion House, home of the Lord Mayor of London since 1752. Over here on the right we've got Sir John Soane's windlass walls that surround the Bank of England, and of course we've just been to the Royal Exchange. But we're here because of this. This is one of the entrances to Bank Tube Station, and we see Alec Guinness going in and out of this on a number of occasions during the film.
So Jack, we're nearly at the end of the tour, and I sense we're at some sort of monument.
That is correct. We are at the monument, built by Christopher Wren and Richard Hook to commemorate the Great Fire of London of 1666, which broke out a short distance away from here in Pudding Lane.
And it's not actually in the film, is it? But you do look at other locations.
Correct. That's right. We are adding in additional sites of interest that will pass on a route.
Great, and you're doing a couple of other tours.
We are. In addition to the Lavender Hill Mob, we're going to be running tours based around Passport to Pimlico and Hue and Cry.
And that's part of the Vintage Festival, is that
That's right. The Vintage at South Bank Festival at the end of July will be based down in the Jubilee Gardens, running bike tours 3 times a day.
Brilliant. Let's get a drink.
Fantastic.
So Richard, it's been a great tour. It's amazing to see really how much London's changed in even such a short space of time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, London was, especially the areas we've been around, were destroyed during the war, and we're kind of in that middle period when they kind of cleaned up everything, but they're not rebuilt yet.
Yeah.
And so lots of the places you see in those films are kind of empty spaces, and now they've got buildings on them. And also, I mean, you're just seeing so many real locations. I mean, even quite a pioneer in that, bringing the cameras out onto real streets in a way that'd be very, very difficult to do these days. I mean, we've been to places today that have been very, very busy. Just imagine shooting at Bank these days. While London's been opened up wonderfully for filmmakers, you'd never get that kind of freedom they had in those days to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, because it does look almost documentarian, doesn't it, the backdrops in those Ealing films?
Well, Ealing was quite famous. They brought in this guy called Alberto Cavalcanti, who was from the documentary movement, and he was very much influential on the Ealing style of naturalism, which actually is a huge influence overall of British cinema to this day.
And of course Ealing is back with us, isn't it?
Ealing is more than back with us. I mean, Ealing Studios is the oldest continuously working studio in the world. They've been making films there since 1902. They're still making films there, and we're talking hugely successful films. St Trinian's film, for instance.
It's been great. Thanks so much for
It's been wonderful, hasn't it?
It's been really fun.
about the old rain that came in
A
our
bit of
way.
rain, yeah. It's been great. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, cheers.
Oh,